I have to wear it for. Oh yeah, is that it? Is it on?
Yes, it's on.
Oh, it's on. the technical part. Very good evening to everyone. Lovely to see you all here for our Clanhatton Association AGM. We'll just start with the apologies.
I've got apologies from. I have apologies from Ian Shaw and Philip Beddoes.
And Richard McBain of McBain also sends his apologies.
I have a list, I think, sent from yourself, Morgan McBain, Andrew McThomas of Finnegan, Philip Compton, Ian Shaw for Derek, William Shaw of Easterlayer, Richard McBain of McBain, Audrey McIntosh, George McIntosh, Diane Tomingo, Myra Johnson, Jean McIntosh, Nigel McFall, Rex Davidson, and Rob McIntosh. We should also add Donald McIntosh.
Donald McIntosh. And Ian McGillivray. And Edward.
And my mum, Celia McIntosh of McIntosh. Any other apologies? Super. And we all have the minutes from last year on your chair. So if you've all, I'll just give you the allotted moment just to thumb your way through. If I'm sure you've been spending the last hour studiously going through it. But could I have...
I've only been looking for 5 minutes, but I think that perhaps the list of those attending might need a bit of revision. I see that at the beginning of the minutes it lists the members, council members, and then it says a list of other attendees is appended. But I see that that Anne Macquarie is down as a council member and also a second time on the second list. Not that that matters very much, but I just wondered if we could have confirmation that Sylvia Shaw of Tordara was present last year. From Mallorca, it says.
No, I'm afraid not.
The Chattan and Gillis and McPherson, we were here last year, but we're not on the list of attendees.
No.
Likewise, Jonathan Finlay, present last year. I think David Sheriff was as well.
Jonathan Finlay and David Sheriff. Okay, thank you very much for that. Are there any other comments on the minutes from last year?
There's one other missing as well off that list, but I'll pass it to Denise for that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so aside from that, if that's the case, can I have approval? Approval for the minutes? There. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so welcome. Vice Presidents, Chairman, Council, members and friends, as usual, we're very happy to be with you here in Inverness, a different venue this year. We've spent many years at the Loch Idle, and unfortunately we weren't able to go there this year, but we are very pleased to be here at the King's Mills and to enjoy the hospitality of the staff here, and we hope that you'll have a very pleasant evening. We're very glad to see so many of you here, and indeed both clansmen from many of our different constituent clans, as well as from many different parts of the world. Particularly this evening, we'd like to give a very warm welcome to Robert Toms, representing Clan McThomas. And of course, we do hope that he will send on our very best wishes to our Vice President and his Chief, Andrew McThomas of Finnegan. We're also delighted to be joined by many old friends who maybe we haven't seen over the past years. I'm delighted to have back with us this evening Ed Smith from Ontario, Elizabeth McGillivray, Anne McIntyre, Pamela McIntosh, and Anne Mary Wharton. It's always pleasant to meet old friends and people that we haven't seen for a little bit of time, especially with the interruption to our lives of the last 3 or 4 years. I'd also, if I may, just give a special mention to Rob and Anna McIntosh, and I'd also like to wish a very happy belated birthday to Anna, who was 75 last year, so last week. So we'd like to continue your birthday celebrations here tonight and at Moy over the weekend. And of course, we are also thrilled to have one of our great old stalwarts of the clan, Pauline McGillivray, with us. Pauline is, of course, our current vice president, but she has held many great positions in the association and worked very hard for us. But particularly, I'm sure you'll remember her as our chairman. She was great at holding my hand and sometimes prodding me in the right direction when I was just relatively new to this role. And she was, of course, for many, many years, and I hope I've got this right, 37 years, was it? She was co-editor of the journal with her husband, Bert. And so we're very glad to have her with us tonight. May I also say very warm greetings to Craig McIntosh, who piped us in at the beginning of the meal. It has probably taken me too long, my having been away for so many years, but I was very glad to ask Craig that he should be my personal piper, the piper for the clan, and I'm delighted that he accepted. And so he's a very eminent piper. He's done very well in competitions around the world, and so I'm delighted to have him as my piper. And he's really done a marvelous job anyway. Over many years he's been coming and piping for us, so I'm glad that that's official, that he's here. And of course, you will all remember, I'm sure, his father Joe, who was also the clan piper, who would come up and stay with us at Moy. He'd always bring his caravan, and I used to love as a young boy going and sitting in the caravan and talking to Joe, and he'd show me how to play the pipes. I never really picked it up very well, but he was great company. So it's and so I am, of course, greatly honoured personally as the Macintosh chief to have not just Craig as my piper, but also as the association piper, of course, the delightful Cindy, who is, of course, with us this evening. Of course, at this time, we do also remember those members who we have lost over the past 12 months. Particularly, we remember Grace McBain, Alan's mother and Margaret's mother-in-law. And we also remember Una McIntosh, the wife of our previous chairman, Peter McIntosh. And of course, at this time, as we remember them, as we gather together, we do remember the warmth that they have brought to our association and the interest that they have shown, and we remember them very fondly. We are perhaps lucky as an association to have celebrated 2 weddings in the past 12 months. Augusta McLean of Dochgarroch, who is married to Dan Simpson towards the end of last year. And so we wish them both well, and we are delighted to see, we hope that we'll be delighted to hear further great news soon. And of course, Cindy, who I mentioned earlier, just a month or so ago, was married to Ken, hello Ken, who we all met last year. And I'm sure that it was, from the photographs I've seen, it was one of those splendid Macintosh weddings there must have been. And so we all wish Cindy and Ken the very best in their married life. So good to my promise last year. I am, some will say finally, as it's taken me a little bit of time, I am finally back here 8 months ago. But yes, I am now back, and it's of course a great pleasure. Myself, Vanessa and Kyla, we have been settling in to Moy Hall in the last month and a half. If you ever want a way to really look at your life and view it perhaps a little differently, pack up everything you have. We had the house we'd been living in, which we packed up until the end of March, and then another family house of Vanessa's where she had stuff. And I think, dare I say, we totaled about 350 boxes. Anyway, so the garage at Moy and one of the bothies has been rather full. But we're ever so slightly managing to get through it. But I think myself and Vanessa, we've managed to show that our marriage must be good, because we've managed to come, no, not that. That was easy. But we've managed to overcome building IKEA furniture together. And sorry if that's a disappointment to anyone who thought Moy Hall was full of Chippendale and Adam. It's a little bit of DIY is fine. I think my students also, perhaps very subtly, they were very sweet. They had something I may have mentioned to you before. They call Teachers' Day, where you get given lovely little notes, and the girls really were very kind. And one of them gave me a note one year, and she said, "Thank you, Mr. McIntosh, for your very interesting and entertaining lessons. They always keep me very happy, and I want to come back. I don't understand why my friend who chose to do geography said that you're very boring." So they do have a way. Of course, I'm sure that some of you will be aware, one of our former members of the association, one of perhaps our most famous members, actually gave that most damning quip, which is, those who can do, those who can't teach. The great George Bernard Shaw, who was a member. I did used to find, if you'll excuse me, I hope these, I used to try and get the girls going with a little bit of humor in the classroom. Those of you who are students of British Malaysian colonial history, I'm sure there's a lot of you tonight, will know it's not actually the most entertaining topic, and perhaps the one entertaining part of it is the Governor General, a man called J.W.W. Birch, was speared in the bath and died, poor man. But that tends to get the students going. And my joke, just to make sure they remembered it, was what was J.W.W. Birch's child called? Son of a Birch. But and by my final year, I knew the students were on the same wavelength as me, because one of my students actually got the punchline before I got there. And I think perhaps, just briefly before I talk about what I meant to talk about, Clanhatton, one of the students, a very, very intelligent girl, and they were clever. She gave me for Teachers' Day, I was a bit puzzled, she gave me what I can perhaps only delicately call a plastic squeaky poo. and there it was sitting, and then I read it, and it said, "Dear Mr. McIntosh, we do give a plastic squeaky poo about history." And she didn't use the word plastic squeaky poo. But anyway, as all of you clearly do give a plastic squeaky poo about our common heritage, it is of course wonderful that you are all here to celebrate what is our 90th anniversary, which I think really goes to show that we are going strong. I went back to read our website, which tells me that this is the third incantation of the Clanhatton Association. I think at 90 years, we are doing pretty well on that. And that really a grouping that encompasses all of our 12 clans, as well as all of their, dare I say, sometimes and often septs. I think being that large grouping going for that time, I think we're doing pretty well. And I think the key word that I saw on the website was "we flourish." It reminded me of a word that I think Alan will be well aware of with me. But we are flourishing as an organization. We keep going, we renew ourselves, and we keep ourselves fresh, facing the different age that we live in. As I said, we have Pauline here, who edited our fine journal for so many years. Back when I was young, certainly the journal was the cornerstone of the association. It was perhaps the key means through which we were able to communicate with everyone. It kept us up to date with the happenings that were within the clan, our news, as well as a good record of what we'd been doing, and of course of his key historical stories to be told or needed to be retold. And really, Pauline and wonderfully for so many years. And the journal, it does still exist. It is now no longer an annual publication, but certainly the journal is still there, and what is the Clan Association we have tried to keep up to date. And of course, the journal, it was the Clanhatton. We had a Clanhatton Wildcat on the front. And even our Clanhatton Wildcat has evolved over the years. So you will see behind me, we had that Wildcat, but we also have this more fearsome creature behind me. And we're of course grateful for all of those members and indeed our council who have worked very hard on freshening things up to keep our association vital as we move forward. And of course, this wonderful, the wonderful redesign that he has done on all of that. And of course, last year, as many of you were here present for, we had our coat of arms, which Lord Lyon has officially granted to the association. So, over the years, really, it has evolved. I grew up where the three strong families, they were not the only members of council, but the three families I remember on council were, of course, Pauline and Bert, Then there was Claire and Ella Shaw, and there was, of course, David and Mary McIntosh. And of course, we can see the family tradition carrying on. So, but of course, we now have a lot of new members of council, a lot of new members and new families on council, and we are delighted that the association and our council has been able to be representative of our different constituent clans over the years. And may the association flourish, and long may that go on. So it just leaves me to say, before we carry on with the meeting, that I do wish you a very good, pleasant time over these few days, whether you are here, whether you're coming to Moy, whether you be going to Newton Moor. I hope that you all have a very pleasant time, and I look forward to speaking with some of you this evening. If they could give their greetings. Clooney.
Good evening. Welcome everybody. I'll come to the front. A year is a long time. It's, when I was thrust upon me to take a greeting last year without being told and prepared for it this year, not properly. A year's a long time. I now wear spectacles to read my notes. But 90 years is something that we should be celebrating, and certainly the Clan McPherson past. I think Clan McPherson members almost touching 20 this evening, so we have a lot to be proud of, and we bring our greetings from those that couldn't make it. Touch not the journal, as you say, is a lovely thing to keep us informed with. We have a very active clan, which we're very lucky to have. But hopefully the joining of the two will continue over the many years to come. We are conscious that there should be another McPherson member potentially sitting on the council at some point, but that's my recruitment drive in this next year to come. So hopefully next year we will have that, because it is so important to keep us all going. But we head off to Newton Moor, you head off to Moy. Let's hope the rain stays off. We have just under 200 registered for the weekend at Newton Moor, 160 to Nepal tomorrow night. So we too are in good heart, which is great to see. So as I said, many congratulations on the 90th birthday, as it were. We send much love and warm wishes from the Clan McPherson, and well, let's have a good weekend.
Thank you. Doc Garrick.
Well, I'm going to stand at the back, and you don't have to see my face. We've all taken a little time to get through the pandemic, and various organisations have come up to life bit by bit. Some have kept going, and there are 3 clan organisations that I'm involved with, and 2 apart from the Clan Chattan Association. The first, of course, is the MacLeans. Now, all MacLeans of the North are members of the Clan MacLean, but not all members of the Clan MacLean are privileged enough to be members of the MacLeans of the North. I will say that we had a gathering that was postponed for a year, and it was we had a gathering in June, and my wife Anne, this time, I founded these gatherings about 35 years ago, and then I stepped down 10 years ago, and Anne took on the arrangements for the gathering. We had 650 people to arrange for a week or 10 days on the Isle of Mull, and it was quite a challenge, particularly getting the marquee put up, I can tell you, when there was a car parked in the way, and it's staying in a hotel, so the police found that it was a hire car, and they said, and who does the car belong to? We need to get in touch with them. And of course the name was, it would have been hired by someone called Mr. MacLean, and he got to Iona for the day. So that was one thing that has come to life in a big way. The other thing is the Association of Highland Clans and Societies. Anne Corrie very kindly arranged the clan tent at the Inverness Games last year, and now it's sort of back to normal. And it was particularly nice that the Manhattan table was there, and Don and Den were there, as well as John and Van and Kayla. It was
meet up with the Clan Society in New Zealand and in Australia, and they all send their best wishes. They're not with us today. Sometimes some of them are able to come over, but it's quite an international fraternity within the Clan Davidson Association. I represent the clan as both its membership secretary, its archivist, and one of its historians. But we are a very active clan association, and it's a great honour to be here today and to be able to represent the Clan Davidson again. I wasn't able to be here last year for other reasons, but it's great to be here and to see everybody in such good form here this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. This is
Yes, this is on behalf of Finnegan, who can't be here. I'm sorry I cannot be present at this year's AGM of the Clan Pattern Association. AGMs are very important events, and I hope that those of you who are able to be there are able to have a valuable discussion on the points on the agenda. The occasion also provides an opportunity to meet those attending for the first time and rekindle friendships with those who have met before. After a gap of some 6 years, and partly due to COVID, Clan McThomas is holding its own gathering based in the Angus Hotel in Blairgowrie over the 25th, 26th, 27th August. And anyone with any links to Clan McThomas is more than welcome. Full details can be found on the website. I hope you have a good meeting which results in decisions being made on key matters. Finnegan.
I bring greetings from Richard McBain of McBain. Apologies for not being here. He is hoping to get across in the next year or so. He's been somewhat busy dealing with the state of his father and other things, but he wishes us well, and he wishes he could be here. Both he and Lisa are missing coming across. Thank you.
Are there any other greetings from chiefs? Okay, thank you very much. We're very grateful for all those greetings, and I mean, we are, of course, very proud as an association that we can have that connection with our constituent chiefs. So thank you very much for those greetings. And I'll now move to the boss, the chairman.
I'm not sure if boss is quite the right title, but anyway, chairman's report. Yes, be warned. This is part report and part request. The association, as you can tell, we have an event, has met regularly, and I think it's functioning very well. I think we still reap the benefits of something that was forced on us by the pandemic, really, and you know, the online meetings that we have. Zoom does allow people to input in a way that we never could beforehand or hadn't taken, and you know, the input from people who not that long before the Second World War, and I find it throughout the Second World War, and you can access them via the website. You know, people literally were writing things in between being on service. It shows a tremendous level of commitment, which does continue, because some people put in an enormous amount of work to the association. When I wrote for the last edition of Touch Not, I talked about the fact, you know, that the CCA builds on the fundamentals of the association, of which you are all representatives. The association only exists because it has members. It needs members. And although we are in good, who is here with us, for helping develop some thinking about how we can take the CCA forward And one of the key elements of that is going to be very important in that. But the scope for improving what we do is tremendous. We have an incredibly rich history and heritage. The range of related activities and interests of people who have got an interest in clan aren't here now, or people who are not in hand, so that in 10 years' time we can look back when we're celebrating our 100th anniversary, and we may have an even more impressive cake then, possibly. We can reflect on just how well we've developed and that we are closer to achieving our potential.
Was retiring last year. However, I'm still here like the proverbial penny, and sadly, Margaret can't be with us this evening, so I'm going to read her report. But before I do that, I do want to say, sadly, Donald can't be here today, but my wonderful, beautiful daughter has stepped into the breach, and she has been an absolute dream of a help. So I have to say thank you very much to Isla. Okay, so this is Margaret's report. I will read it because I haven't looked at it much. Sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I apologise for not being with you today, but family care commitments mean that I am unable to travel to Inverness at this time. But Denise has graciously offered to present my report. I would like to again thank the members of council for their support over the last year, especially Donald, Denise and Alistair, who answer so many of my stupid questions, and to Rex for handling the requests for family history information, for which there are many. Email or know of a member who has, please let us know so we can update our records. We really don't like losing touch if it can be helped. Finally, I hope you all have a productive AGM and an enjoyable gathering, and I hope to be with you next year. Margaret McBain.